Another Reboot 33 video coming your way. This is one of the tasks, another big important task. All 6 of these are super important. This one is going in on vagal nerve exercises. You might be thinking, how on earth am I supposed to exercise a nerve? How does that even work? Well, what that exercise means is stimulation. We're trying to stimulate a specific nerve. And the reason why this one is so important, our vagus nerve, is because vagus nerve has probably the greatest impact on our nervous system from a nerve hierarchy list. This is number 1, this is the creme de lion. It relays to like 90% of our organs. It dictates like 90% of our stress response. Typically the calm side, it stimulates calming effect while also regulating the stress response. And we want to have a fairly high vagal tone. We want this to be fairly active when it needs to be. We also need it to be able to turn off if we are in a stressful situation. But when the vagus nerve is firing appropriately and optimally, then we're going to have really good immune system function, really good cardiovascular function. Our organs will be working together cohesively as a team. Our brain function will start becoming optimized, and overall our nervous system, especially our autonomic nervous system, will be working at its highest capacity. So in terms of this challenge and how we want to approach this over the next 33 days is start playing around with different activities that are shown to help stimulate the vagus nerve to where you find one that works for you, and that can maybe become part of your new habit set that you take from Reboot 33 and continue on with your life. So with that being said, I'm going to just kind of guide through some of the options that we picked and found that are pretty easy to play in and that just have a simple way of stimulating our vagus nerve. So the first like 3 that kind of package together: gargling water, singing, and humming. All 3 of those play a role in stimulating our vagus nerve because they're utilizing our throat muscles, particularly like our voice box, the vibration of humming, and also the gargling of water. All of those muscles that are in our mouth and also in our neck are innervated by our vagus nerve. So by utilizing those and in those kind of fashions, gargling water, singing, humming, it's going to stimulate activity of that nerve. And so by stimulating activity of that nerve, the end product, the result of that will be a calming effect, because that's what that nerve does. So we stimulate nerve gets activated. Result of activation of nerve, specifically for vagus nerve, is calm effect. And this is not just in this region, but it's all of its endings will start working. They'll get a little bit of a boost and uptick. It might not be something that you notice immediately, but it'll more likely be something that you notice when consistent over a prolonged period of time. That's why we picked that 33 day as that threshold, because it's a good enough amount of time to where we should see some degree of a change. Those are 3 pretty easy ones. You can technically do that every morning, anywhere you are, unless you don't have access to water, then you can't gargle in the moment, but you can hum and sing anywhere you want pretty much, except for a library. Those are easy ways to stimulate your vagus nerve. Another way is meditation. That is probably my personal favorite, just because it gives me the opportunity to hang out with my eyes closed and to not have all of this sensory information getting put into my brain that my brain is trying to compute at a super fast speed. And at that place, or at that moment in time, meditation typically will have a calming effect because we are filtering out all this light, we're filtering out all these objects, and by having less stimulation there, we can start kind of slowing down our brain activity. In this moment right now, I'm talking a lot, you're thinking a lot. That is more than likely has us at beta wave frequency, our brain operates at different frequencies. You have beta, alpha, I think gamma, delta, or delta gamma. We typically sleep in the delta gamma wave range. We are much more calm, starting to fall asleep, Zen mode, veg out, and alpha wave. And then beta wave is us thinking, being active. People who deal with anxiety, they are typically stuck in a really high beta wave frequency, or just like hyperactive, high functioning, high thinking people. They're typically in a super high beta wave place. If you have difficulties falling asleep, you're more than likely still in that beta wave place. We sleep in delta, so you have to be able to lower your brain thought waves down to that alpha delta or that delta gamma type place. Meditation can help you get there, and one of the ways I was able to kind of lower that down is through our vagus nerve. So typically with meditation, you're incorporating some kind of breathing in play, and by doing so, that can help calm down or help stimulate your vagus nerve, actually, which the end product will be calming it down. Help you navigate thoughts that might be stressful and just work to unravel those. And that can help stimulate your vagus nerve, which will help coordinate all the function of your organs and your brain, and thus calming them down, and then you perceive yourself to thus be calmer. That's essentially what feeling calm is all your organs working together cohesively at the same time. The other one is yoga, also works, also blending in breath work, breathing, and just doing nice calm movements of your spine specifically. Yoga is a lot of spine, hip mobility, hip health, but when you move your spine, you're influencing those nerves, influencing that blood flow, and especially just doing kind of calm movements of the back and of the neck, that can help enhance the tone of your vagus nerve. The last one is intermittent fasting. That is where you have two windows essentially with eating. You have the time in which you have your last meal to your next meal, and then you have your fed window. So if you look at a 24-hour clock, most of us are sleeping, let's just say from 10 to 6. So let's say that's 8 hours of sleeping. We don't eat when we sleep. So typically our fasted window begins with our last meal of the day, and our fasted window will end with the next day's breakfast, whenever that is. For what a lot of research is showing is that what is optimal for a human is being in around a 16-hour fasted window and an 8-hour fed window. So basically an 8-hour time gap of where you are consuming food and a 16-hour time gap of where you are not consuming food. When that occurs, right around I think hour 12 or so is when our energy source starts to shift. We've kind of burned through available sugar and glucose, and now we're tapping into more so-called ketones. And ketones have a calming effect on our body, causes neurotransmitter release, particularly of GABA, that helps stimulate vagus nerve activity. And then right around hour 15, 16 is when this process called autophagy occurs, which is when our bad cells start getting cleaned up and removed and broken down and getting out of our body. That all essentially occurs with fasting, and that can have a pretty big impact on our vagus nerve. Also helps reset our microbiome and clean that up, which also has influence on our vagus nerve. So there's a lot of like overlap, Venn diagramming with all these processes. And when you start mixing in all those, well, then our vagus nerve is going to have higher activity, which is overall going to be better for our net health. So I just listed out like 6 different approaches to help stimulate our vagus nerve. Basically, we just want to start kind of teaching you guys the approach of, okay, I can do things at home that can have an impact on my vagus nerve. What are those, and how can I make this work for me, my lifestyle, and my day-to-day living? So play with all of them, try them out, see which one fits for you, roll with that one. And the concoction of all 6 of these habits and tasks are designed to create a really positive recipe to where you have a low stress load, really high tolerance to stress, really high calm load per se, and majority of that is we're optimizing for the vagus nerve. That's what a lot of these are doing, is that we're optimizing for vagus nerve, we're optimizing for parasympathetic activity. And this is just one of the ways that we do that are through vagus nerve exercises.